Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Neil. Neil is from Manchester in England, in the UK. So let's see what Neil has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hello.
Hello Neil, how are you?
Yeah, very good.
Guy, good. Thanks for taking the time on the weekend to do the interview with me. Thank you.
No problem.
Right, so before we start the game, Neil, just tell me where you're from.
Manchester, England.
Oh, amazing. I was in Manchester last month.
All right. Well, it's Gay Pride this weekend, so it's very busy at the moment.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Wow. I never been to Gay Pride there, but I heard that's very popular. It's very famous.
Yeah, it's not the full Pride this time because of like restrictions, but it's a lot of small.
Yes. Right. And in your opinion, what's the best part of living in Manchester?
The culture, I think they've got quite a lot of multicultural, it's very diverse. So we've got different nationalities, and that's depicted in the restaurants and things. There's lots of you've got Polish restaurants, Italian, Spanish, everything. I like my food, that's a good thing for me.
And what do you do for a living, Neil?
I'm a freelance sales rep, so I work for 10 different companies. So I sell greeting cards, gift wrap, gifts to shops and garden centres, things like that.
And what do you like the most about your job?
No 2 days are the same. I don't have the same commute to work because I go to different places, I see different shops. So I'm not on the same motorway backwards and forwards every day like I used to do when I worked full time for a company. Sat in the same traffic. So I can travel to the countryside, so I can see my views really nice on the way there and stuff.
Very good, Neil. And just before we start the journey, Will and the Magic Box, just tell me something interesting about yourself.
Interesting. I did a round the world trip for 6 months. That was something that I've always wanted to do, and I got the opportunity when I was made redundant from work, and got quite a decent payout. So rather than being sensible and pay it off a mortgage, I went travelling instead.
So where did you go?
I started off, I did the Trans-Siberian Railway from Moscow to Beijing, then did Hong Kong, Tokyo, Singapore, Malaysia, and then did all down the east coast of Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, and then did Rio de Janeiro, and then came home.
Very good. I'm not gonna ask which place was the best because I think it was Rio de Janeiro, wasn't it?
To be honest, everywhere had something different to offer. It was really good.
Absolutely.
The waves were very bad in Brazil when you tried to sunbathe, though. With huge waves, you couldn't sunbathe near the sea.
Oh my God, really? Oh wow. Did you manage to go to see the Christ and the cable car, the Sugarloaf there? Yeah,
well, we didn't book an official tour because I stayed in hostels. I was chatting to a guy who was from Brazil, and he said, "Oh no, there's bikes at the bottom of the hill, and you can jump on the back of the motorbike, and they'll take you up like £10 or something."
I see. And when you through this amazing journey that you were traveling around, tell me if you could, what's the most positive thing you took out of this journey you did, like all those different countries? There was like when you think about it, what's the feeling come to you, something that sticks to your head?
I think the biggest thing I took from it was I never thought I'd be able to go on holiday on my own and just sort of meet people, mingle with people. So that was the big thing for me. So I went the first part when we did Russia and China and everything. I did that with my friend, and then we partied, and he went his way, and I carried on for a few more months. And I actually met more people when I was on my own than I did when I was with him, because people just think, oh, they're friends, so I won't interrupt, but I'd just be sat in the hostel, and I found my little my way of introducing myself to people, because I drink calimocho, the red wine and Coke with ice. So I'd get a bottle of red wine on the first night, I'd get a bottle of Coke, and I'd be sat there pouring the two together, and then everybody would always say, "Oh, I've never seen that before, what's that?" So I'd go, "Do you want to try one?" And then next minute, I had a friend.
There was your way to meet people, to get people attention.
Yeah, because it's something unusual that they've not seen people drink before. A lot of people drink red wine obviously on its own, don't they?
Very good. Yeah, I think those trips, sometimes people, they hold themselves not to travel because they are on your own, but sometimes you can make so much surprises, you can meet so much amazing people out there that if you had the company, you wouldn't do that, because sometimes when you have a company, you strict yourself to the, you know what I mean, to this small world. But when you are alone, you're just free, you know what I mean? You just want to meet people, you just want to get to see different places. So that's a good part of traveling alone, for sure.
And I think it made me, I could take more opportunities because I didn't have to consult anybody. I could just like, so if somebody said, oh, we're going to a beach party, I'd go, right, yeah, I'll come. Whereas if you've got somebody else, you're like, do you want to go? Are you okay going? And so it's difficult.
There's always the positive side, the negative side as well. There's always, you know what I mean, we'll travel with people. Yeah, I'm sure, I understand. Okay, Neil, so welcome to Ilya and the Magic Box. So here my lovely box, okay, full of random fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song just for us to get a bit in the mood before the first question, okay? And just before you start the game, if there is a question you don't have an answer for, you don't want to answer, always can change another one, okay? All chilled and relaxed. Cool?
Oh, I'll probably answer everything. There's nothing I wouldn't answer.
Great, let's go through the whole question then. Let's say like 4 or 5 hours here. Right, let's do it. Okay, Neil, let's go for the first question. First question for you is, good one, what does happiness mean to you?
For me, happiness is sort of contentment and not struggling for something else. I think a lot of people say, I'll be happy when, or I'll be happy when I get this job, or I'll be happy when I've got more money. I think I've learned, as I've listened to quite a lot of podcasts and things, and I've started to appreciate just enjoying the now and what you've got, what you have, and I do believe in like putting things out to the universe, and it tends to, the law of attraction, they tend to sort of find their way to me. So I'm never sort of striving something. I just think if it happens, it happens. Yeah,
I heard as well that happiness is right now. You know what I mean? Happiness is right now. What's happening? Like we feel that's and I believe there's a choice. And not the. I remember a few years ago I saw this little quote when I was around somewhere in London, and this quote said, "Smile in the mirror every morning, and you're gonna see a big difference in your life." And I think it's so simple. And you know, sometimes when you smile in the morning, like look at yourself, give a smile to yourself. I think that's just change your day. You know, it just can change your life. You know, so I agree.
I think people let one moment ruin their whole day, and they say, I've had a really bad day, but they haven't had a bad day, they've had one moment that was bad, but they let it change their whole view of the day.
Absolutely. It's just about how your mindset, you know what I mean? That's the way you program your mind and how you face things. I think there's happiness everywhere. You can find happiness everywhere. It's just the way you face it, you know? And of course, you go through tough times, and you said like troubles as well, but it's part of, you know what I mean? It's part of the journey.
I mean, I used to wake up, and if it was really cloudy outside, I'd be like, oh
no.
Now I've started taking photographs of the scenery with the clouds and everything, and adjust the lighting, and it can look amazing, the pictures, and you think there's beauty everywhere, but you just don't always see it. You just think that it's going to be sunny to be happy.
Absolutely, it's all in your minds.
your own time, sunshine to the party.
Yes, it's funny because I come from Brazil, and I have these questions all the time. So, oh my God, why England? Why you left Brazil full of sun and this and that? But it's funny because since I've been living here for the last 16 years, and one of the things that people always moaning about the weather, and particularly for me, the weather never been a big deal at all. I remember, I understand sometimes, you know, when it's gray, when it's, you know what I mean, depends your mood, you can get a little bit down. I understand that, you know what I mean. The whole thing works together. But personally, for me, sometimes I open the window, I see this gray day, I'm like, oh, okay, another day, and it's cool, fresh air. I just see the positive. There's always a positive thing behind. So yeah, totally agree. Next question, Neil. Let's do it. Next question for you, Neil. What's the best present have you ever received, and why you consider that?
The best present I received, and it wasn't an expensive gift, it was in 1993, my friend bought me this padded lined book, and she wrote in the front of it, because I'd said I wanted to do I said not like a bucket list, but I wanted to do a list of, every time I think of something I want to do, I write it in my book. And she wrote in the front saying, I hope you achieve everything that you write in this book. So it started off with just little things, like I would write. I used to go to a restaurant all the time, and I'd never tried smoked salmon, and I'd go, oh, I'd love to try smoked salmon. It's on the, and then they go, what are you having? I go, oh, prawn cocktail, please. And I'd have the same thing that I'm used to having, rather than trying the. So then now, anything that's wrote in my book, as soon as that opportunity presents itself, I have to do whatever it is. So when I was doing my round the world trip, I was checking into the hostel, and there's a leaflet on the counter that said skydive, £99 or whatever. So I said, oh, how often does that happen? And he said, oh, it's every day. I said, oh, can I book it for tomorrow then, please? And he was like, that was quick. And now I know it's in my book, so I've got to do it. And it's like, what's this book? So I was just letting him look through the book, and he went, I'm going to get one of these books. And I think it just stops you sort of always saying, oh, I'm going to do that one day, I'm going to do that, and you never do it. So now it makes me take opportunities more.
Absolutely. Oh my God, what a beautiful present. Oh wow, I love that. I love that. Just gives me an idea now. It's such a simple like gift, but so powerful at the same time as well, because you can put there so much about yourself, you know what I mean? About memories and desires.
And I don't sort of cross them out. I use a highlighter so I can still see the things that I've done, rather than crossing them and putting a line through them. But what really struck me with the book as well, I had years and years ago, I had my car broken into, and they stole my car, and they ransacked the car and threw all the things all over the place, and the book was on the floor in a puddle, so it still survived that, and it's all like got watermarks on it and stuff, but it just shows it's been through so many things.
Amazing. It meant to be for you, this book, for sure. It meant to be like that, for sure. Okay, Neil, let's go for another question for you. Let's do it. For the next question, and what's the most challenging part of your job, in your opinion?
Every week it's like starting again from scratch, because you have no appointments in your diary, and you have to start ringing around people to get appointments booked in. So that feels like the difficult part, because it feels like, even though they're existing customers, it still feels a little bit like cold calling, going, hi, I'm just ringing to see if I can come and see you, and they're like, no, I don't need anything. And then if you get like 3 or 4 no's in the first few calls, you're like, I'll go and get a coffee and come back again.
And go like, you should get your book. You should get more calls on my book. Then you go like for your book, get your best friend of the night. Next question for you is, what's the most scary thing that happened to you?
The most caring?
Scary. What's the most scary thing that happened?
Sorry. I'd probably say my mum was involved. It wasn't actually me, but it was a scary time for me. My mum was involved in an armed robbery. She used to work in a club, and 3 men burst in with balaclavas and like an axe and a machete and everything, and like made her go and open the safe and stuff. So that was really scary. And I got the phone call to say that she'd been injured and she was at hospital. Because I didn't know any details. I just said, oh, there's been an armed robbery. And I was like, what? And I had to like race up to the hospital to find out what was going on.
Wow. Very scary. Wow, very scary. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, Neil from Manchester. Next question for you is, if I would ask your best friend to define yourself in one positive word and one negative word, what your best friends would tell me?
I think the positive word would be positive. I think I'm a very positive person. The negative thing would probably say interrupts. I tend to, because I think my mind's always thinking. If I don't say it when I think it, I'll forget. So I tend to interrupt people and go, sorry, can I just tell you this? So that's my annoying thing that I know that probably annoys people.
What's your next question? Next question for you is, how do you describe a perfect, healthy relationship?
First and foremost, there's got to be trust on both parts. I think as soon as you've not got trust, there's no point in staying in that relationship, because you'll be suspicious all the time. Thoughtful, considerate. I'm quite tactile as well, so I like, I'm quite a touchy-feely person. So somebody that's reciprocated and they don't mind that sort of thing. And I think probably a shared interest in travel would be a plus for me. There's so many places I want to see. I'm not one of those people who want to go back to the same place year after year on holiday. I want to see, there's thousands of places I want to visit. So I would feel wasted going back to the same place.
Okay, cool.
I look a bit tired because I was actually out at Pride last night.
You know what? I was checking your profile a little bit before today this morning. I saw you in was a concert or something with a friend. You saw you like.
Oh, it's called Bongo Bingo. So it's actually bingo, but they have like a nightclub environment. So between each game, they have songs, and it was like crazy. You can win really silly prizes. There was like a blow-up doll. You can win a picture of Gordon Ramsay, like a stand-up picture and stuff. It's all daft prizes, but it was fun.
I was like, oh my God, I want to be there. When I saw it, like, oh my God, it felt so good, the good energy. I loved it. Amazing. Next question. Did you get something or not? Did you want something in the bingo or not?
No, I didn't win, no.
Okay.
I only played 3 games because then it was quite fast with the numbers and I was like, oh, and I went, oh, I'll leave it. So I just kept going to the bar for drinks for everybody.
Funny, very funny. Next one. Okay, Neil. And before the next question, and in your opinion, what's the most challenging part of living in Manchester?
I know we've already discussed it, but probably the weather, just because it does restrict what things you can do. So like, if we had like a full summer of sun, you could say, right, I'm gonna have a barbecue on this date, everybody come round, but you can't plan like that. You've got to go, right, in 2 hours, get round to mine, I'm having a barbecue, the sun's out, quick. You've got to do it then. You can't plan for a barbecue or if you wanted to go camping or for a picnic or anything like that, you can't plan it. You've just got to do it when you wake up and it's sunny. So that's the most challenging thing, to plan events and stuff.
Next question for you is, if you could have a superpower, what that would be and why?
Oh, damn, that was going to be my question to you. I thought I've got a good question. I can ask you.
The pressure's on you now to get a new question.
No, it would probably be to be able to sort of stop time and see that what the decision you were going to make, how that would affect what path it would take you on, and then be able to come back to that moment and make a different decision. That'd be quite useful to know. Like, say somebody says, "Oh, do you want to come out tonight?" You could go, pause before you give them an answer. So you'd have one path where you've said yes, one where you've said no, and you could see the different outcomes, because that one small decision you might think is trivial, but you could have met the person you were meant to meet on the night out, or that person could have been at the shop where you went because you didn't go out, you went to the shop instead. So it'd be interesting to see how your decisions played out.
Do you believe that people cross other people's lives for a reason?
Yes. I think I've started listening to these podcasts, and they're called Abraham Hicks, and they were the people that were interviewed for the book called The Secret. And that says how the universe is all made up of energy, and you put out energy, and you have your desires, and you send your desires up as a rocket, as a sort of desire. And in this vortex as such, there's all these things that you've asked for, but you just have to be ready to receive them. So they're already there waiting for you. It's just whether you're open to receiving them. Because most people are just, I want, and they just focus on, or they say, I don't want this to happen. And the universe just knows what you're focusing your attention on. So they always say you should be mindful of what you give your thoughts to, because the more you think about something, the more it can manifest.
I totally agree with you. And I can tell you, I can name so many people, like beautiful friends and beautiful people around my life that I met. And if I tell you how I met those people, like the random, how the way, you know what I mean, our destiny just crossed path, you cannot imagine. I actually could write a book with those moments, because some people you cannot believe. Sometimes when I tell, like when I tell friends how the way I met, like these people, like they go like, my God, how it looked like the word stop itself just to put me, like, not the whole thing like together, because it was like, those people you meet sometimes, it was impossible to meet for some reason, and the path crossed. And I could tell you, I could be here another hour with you just telling those stories, because I've got very good stories with people around me.
I think sometimes as well, the person that you meet originally doesn't necessarily stay in your life, but as a result of meeting them, you meet their friends who then introduce you to their friends, and that's how you become friends with them. But had you not met that other person, you probably wouldn't have crossed paths with the people that you would. Like, I've got friends who have been friends for 20 odd years, only as a result of talking to a friend who introduced me to them.
Yeah, they are like a person who was they meant to put you both together. I was thinking about that like 2 days ago. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh my god, I was thinking about some people as well. The same way, like they introduced me to some other people, and now I'm very connected with those people and not connected with them more. And it's fine. It's just the way life works sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just to connect people. They are like a messenger, like people that just to put you the right path with the other person. Totally agree.
And I think even I've got friends. I don't have anybody in my life, anybody that sort of I've met and I've fell out with and I never speak to them again, or I've had a big row. Even if we fell out with somebody, I'm always the person who will just think, oh, it's not worth it. So I'll just say, yeah. I know it. Even though they were at fault sometimes, I'll say, I know we fell out, but is it? That's just not. So there's nobody now that I've met in my past that I would say, oh, I would never speak to them again if I saw them. I could probably speak to. I've got friends who I've not spoke to for 10 years, and then I've met them out on a night out, and then we've said, oh, we'll have to go out, and we've gone out for drinks since, and then we just picked where we left up.
Sure, sometimes as well we need space sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes relationship, they need as well some space and have to come back again, and it looks like that we've never been, you know what I mean, in touch anymore. So it's all about, when, as you said, when you accept it, when you understand it, it's the way life is, it's just the way.
A lot of my friends, I met them when they were single, when I was single, and then they've gone on to get married with kids and a family. So
normal.
Dynamic changes, you can't be available all the time when you've got a family. So I just accept that's their new life, but then we just catch up when we can.
Very good, very good. Next question?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, Neil, just before the next question, I was checking your profile and I saw something on your phrase there that it got my attention. It says, hoping to leave a lasting mark in the world before I take my final bow and exit stage left. Smiling face. Tell me a little bit about it.
It's sort of got the theatre reference because I used to do theatre, but as I've got older and I've realised what's important in life, I've realised that I don't want to be rich. I don't want to have loads of money in the bank and be a millionaire or anything. I used to always think, oh, I want to win the lottery, but then I just think you've got the same problem just multiplied by 5 million or however much you win. So I want to have a legacy that I leave behind, and I'd much rather people said, oh, Neil did this and it was a nice thing that he did, or he set up this thing. And there's a couple of things that I'm doing that are ongoing that I hope will reach a wider audience, and then I'll be known for that sort of thing. One of which is, I watched a film called, have you seen Pay It Forward?
Not sure.
Well, it's about a young boy at school, and he sort of does 3 random acts of kindness to 3 strangers that he's never met. And he says, I don't want you to pay me back. I want you to pay it forward and do 3 things for 3 people. So, and he works out if he does that and they carry on doing it, it could reach millions of people eventually. So I was really inspired by the film. It was about 10 years ago. So I got these little cards made, and it just says, you've been treated to a random act of kindness. Please keep this card, and when you're able to, pass it on to somebody else. And the idea behind it is everybody does kind things for other people, but when you do a nice act, like you might, I don't know, say you buy somebody a coffee in a coffee shop, at that moment when they get it, they're like, oh, that was really nice, thank you very much. And they're, oh, that's right, I might do that to somebody, and then it's forgotten about, and then they don't do it. So by having the card as a reminder, it sort of prompts them to think, oh, I better pass this on now and do it to somebody else. So that's one of my things that I hope will, I've had like thousands of them printed over the years, and everywhere I go I try and do one in a different country or a different place, hoping that years from now somebody will go, I got one of these cards, I don't know where it came from, and it's just a thing then.
Very good, very sweet, I love that, I like that. Okay, next question for you is, what is the worst first date you ever been on?
The worst one is probably I met a guy for something to eat, and I sort of knew straight away he wasn't really my type, but I thought I'll be polite and stay for the meal. And we had the starter, and I think he went to the loo, and then he came back and said, oh, I've just had a phone call from my friend, I've got to go for and I was like, all right, no problem. And I knew it was just you're not my type, but I'm not the sort of person that just because we don't get on romantically, I would be rude and just do that. But he obviously thought, I'm not wasting my time. And it was clear from the conversation we're having, I think he was expecting sex on the first night as well, and I just thought, well, that's not a relationship that you're looking for. You're just looking for a hookup. So, but I just thought I'll still be polite, have the meal, and then I'll just tell him it's not for me, sort of thing. But he obviously just thought, oh, I could be on another date now, getting somewhere else. So it was a lucky escape in a way. I didn't have to spend the whole night making polite conversation.
I had someone on the show, we were talking about dates as well. This person said, when you go on a first date, always go for a coffee date first, because dinner can be too long and sometimes you cannot like the person. About the interesting. It's funny. Right, Neil, are you enjoying the show so far?
Yes, it's good.
Good. Next question. Let's do it. You're saying about being gay, did you always have the support of your family?
No. I had to actually come out twice because I came out the first time when I was 17, I think, and my mum was just like devastated, and she sort of didn't react how I thought she would. I thought she'd be supportive because I was like, very close to my mum, but she almost made me feel like I'd disappointed her and let the family down, and I kept saying, this isn't a career path. It's not like I've gone out stealing cars or robbing old ladies. It's not something I chose to do. It's just, and I was like, it's almost like making me feel bad for having green eyes. I said, it's just what you're born with. I said, so in the end, because she was, well, you need to go to the pub with your dad and start doing manly things and stop, doing, and I was like, so I couldn't handle the whole pressure of where you going, what you doing, so I just said, oh, it was just a phase, and so then I just had a few girlfriends just to appease from my parents. But then I got my first boyfriend, and I just thought, so I just said, I kept thinking, I'm going to tell her tonight, I'm going to tell him. And I kept saying, I need to speak to you when I get home. And she was like, well, what is it? What's it for? And I thought, if I say that, I've committed to speaking to her then. So she said, well, why'd you have to wait till tonight? I went, because I want to speak to you face to face. And she went, I think I know what it is anyway. And I was like, and she was like, well, what do you think it is? And she went, is it about you and Anthony? And I said, yeah. She went, yeah, well, I already know, so you don't need to bother now. Because she just didn't want to say the words. But then it was really difficult because she kept saying, don't be telling people. I was like, I'm not living a lie, I'm just going to be me.
I believe that every parent, they know the child very well, better than ourselves sometimes. They know some things there. And it's normal they react sometimes like that, because it always happened to the neighbor, to the other, the other member of the family, but never happened to our family, in our, our own house. That's the way some people like it, which is normal. It's just the society, society makes us the way things are. But at the end of the day, they know better than us. And if they don't want to know or don't believe, but they know it's there. They know some things there. You know what I mean?
She always knew. She just didn't want to admit it to herself.
But now it's okay. Everything's fine now. Everything's.
Yeah, she's fine. She sort of makes out she's fine, more okay with it than she is. But I know she's sort of a little bit still. I wish she wasn't.
Next question for you is, what have you learned during this long lockdown since last year?
I've learned how important it is for me to have contact with other people. I didn't realise how much of a social person I was until I had to spend over 12 months in my house on my own. Even though I've lived on my own for a long time now, I didn't realise how much just going to an appointment, seeing a customer, speaking to a friend, having lunch with somebody, all those things add up, so you don't really feel that you're on your own. And I've learnt that so it's okay to talk about not feeling okay. I think mental health issues, people tend to not talk about it. So at the start of lockdown, myself and a few others, we set up a group on Facebook called the Virtual Tavern, and that was set up to combat loneliness, mental health, and all that stuff. And it was surprising how many people reached out and said, I'm really struggling, and it was a lot of men as well, which you don't normally get. But we created a sort of safe environment where people could open up and they felt supported, because we said on the rules of the group, there was no negativity. We don't talk about politics, religion, football, and COVID, because people come away to escape all that. So the members really embraced that concept. So if somebody joins and they sort of say something nasty to somebody, the members police it and say, hang on, we don't do that in here. So I think I was surprised how many people were struggling as well and felt they could have opened up. I think I did it. I sort of said, I was struggling with depression at one point. So I think people thought, oh, he always looks happy. And if he can be depressed, then maybe I'm not strange for feeling unhappy.
Absolutely. I think all of us, since when it started out, because no one was expecting, if someone would tell me that in 2019, if someone come up to me and said, William, in 2020, the world's going to stop, literally stop, I wouldn't believe. I think no one would believe that. So I think none of us we were not prepared for that. And somehow, I think all of us, we went through like up and downs, try to adjust ourselves to this new world. And I think we did well. I think most of the people, not all of us, of course, even besides the sadness, the thing that happened around the world. But even though we were there, I think I remember like everyone clapping at 8 o'clock, for the NHS team. I think what was beautiful. I think we were connecting ourselves somehow. We find a way to connect ourselves, like through social media, through Zoom, through I think that we found our way. I think that's what makes the human being interesting. We always find a way to survive, to find our our way, like through downtimes, through like deepest sadness. But we got there, and I think we are getting now back to the real normal world again.
I think it's probably done, even though there's been some, like you say, the sadness side of it, I think it's actually done some people a lot of good, where we now appreciate the things we took for granted. Just going for a meal with somebody and not having to wear a mask when you're talking to somebody. The things that you just thought, oh, it's just going for a coffee, I won't bother. Now, as soon as people get an invite to go for a coffee, they're there because they think we might be on lockdown and it could happen again and we might not get to see people for a long time.
Absolutely.
I think it made people spend more quality time with friends and family.
And a lot of beautiful things came out of those, of this lockdown. A lot of beautiful. I think people, they're so creative as well. I remember watching the news and watching, like, God, so many people organize themselves, making up new things. And actually, this show I'm doing right now, it came out of this, this moment. So I don't think I would never get into it if I wouldn't, be locked myself. I think everyone find a way to survive, to show, their creativity. And I think that's what makes interesting when you look back, for sure.
Well, the Virtual Tavern was born because of that. And now they've got 48,000 members from around the world, 99 countries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Neil, I have 3 questions left for you, okay? Let's do it. No, actually, I was wrong. I've got already around 1,900 questions to go through, because you said you can answer all of them. So, there we go. William Magic Box Season 2, Season 3, Season 4, I'll get you back, okay? Okay, next question for you is, what makes you most proud?
I'm most proud, out of all the things that I've done, I'm probably the most proud of the Virtual Tavern, just because it was something that was supposed to be a few hundred people that just got together, that were friends, and it's helped. So when we sort of forget sometimes, there's 10 of us in the group that do the admin, and we sort of just think of it as it's just a Facebook group. But then you get messages from people where they say, you've no idea how much this has helped me these last 12 months. I live on my own, I was really isolated, and this has got me through it. And you just think, that's a really powerful thing, just from a little Facebook group that we set up. And the amount of people that, we've had phone calls at like 2 a.m. where people have been like wanting to take their life, and sort of had to talk them round. And we had to go on mental health training courses just to make sure we were better equipped. And it was just something that we never thought it would be this big. And I hope that continues to be the group that it is, and grows bigger and becomes something that connects people for years to come.
Very good, very good. 2 questions left this season. Okay, let's do it. Okay, Neil, next question for you is, if you could be an animal, which one that would be and why?
Probably a dog, because I think they've got quite a good life. They sleep, eat, go for a walk, get petted all the time. I think the dogs have got quite an easy look. They don't have bills and stress and jobs and things like that, so that'd be quite good. As long as it was a dog that had a good owner, obviously. You don't want somebody that mistreats you and stuff.
Yeah, I heard the same question came up to one of my guests in the past, and he was like, William, dog, they have the perfect life. they're fed, they're giving love, they're playing the park. But actually, one of the therapy that I find myself when I go for a run in the park and I see those dogs just jumping around the door, for me it's a therapy. I just love watching them. Like, my God, look what happiness is. Look what, like, you know, you don't have problems in your life. Like how they're just playing around and they show their love. You know what I mean? I just love it. It's one of my therapy. I love it. I love going to the park and running and see those dogs just like, you know what I mean, jumping around.
Well, when my dad was really ill, he was in a care home, and I went to see him, and my mum was already there, so I said, will you come and get I took the dogs with me, I got two. I said, we can get the dogs so that I can go and see my dad. And the lady said, no, bring them in. I said, what? She said, it's really good therapy for the patients. It calms them down, you know, when they're stroking the dogs and things. So I was like, all right. So they have a really sort of calming effect. Apparently, your blood pressure's lowered, and if you sleep with your dog, you know, your heartbeat stops going to sort of rhythm and stuff. So yeah, they like my little girls, not my two dogs. They like my babies.
What are their names?
Bonnie and Bella.
Oh, cute. I want to see a photo after, okay?
Yes.
Right, Neil, ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Last question for you. Okay, if someone gave an envelope with your death date inside, would you open it or not, and why?
Yes. Because I think if I opened it and it said I was going to be 80, for example, I'd be like, great, I could plan for that, what I would do with that time. If it said it was like a month away, then there'd be a lot of things I would want to do that I might be putting off for, like, oh, I'll do that next year, but next year's not going to happen. So it would make me live my life to the fullest now and cram all those things in. I'd put it all on my credit card. I won't bother about paying my credit card off because I won't be here. So, it'd be handy to know. But I wouldn't want to do that if I knew I'd going to have another 80 years and I'd put a lot of money on my credit card and then I'm like, oh, I thought I wouldn't be here next week.
Imagine.
What are you doing again, folks?
It wasn't my fault. It was this envelope I received. Okay, Neil, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? So I'm going to give away some words and you just tell one word that comes to your mind, okay? Keep thinking. Let's start with family.
Love.
Money.
Greed.
Love.
Happiness.
Sex.
Rare.
Oh dear. Life.
Less than.
Good one. Politics.
Divisive.
Religion.
Again, divisive.
Fear.
Unknown.
Okay. Friendship.
Important.
Desire.
Lust.
Regrets.
Useless.
Success.
Measurable.
Okay. Wish.
Granted.
Happiness.
Content.
And one word for Manchester.
Multicultural.
Okay, and one word for the virtual tavern.
Community.
Very good, very good. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your lovely friends for a cup of tea, and I'm going to ask your best friends. Tell me the most beautiful thing about Neil, and tell me something that you still need to improve on. What do you think your best friend will tell me?
In one word or a full answer?
Yeah, full answer.
I think they would say that I always see the positive in the situation. So I'm a believer that you can't choose the things that happen to you necessarily, but you can always choose how you let them affect you. So, for example, when I'm in traffic and somebody maybe cuts me up, or my big thing is I always say to people, you know, when you wave somebody or flash somebody to come in front of you, I always say, if you're doing that with an expectation of them waving and saying thank you, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. So you shouldn't get angry if they don't say thank you, because first of all, they might not know that you've flashed and they might not have seen that. They've just seen a gap and gone, oh, I'm in, and they've gone in. You're going, didn't even say thank you. Well, they didn't even know they had to, because as far as they're concerned, you haven't done anything to be thanked for. So you get all worked up and you can let that affect your whole day, get in a bad mood, get road rage. So I always say, you should be doing it because it's the right thing to do, not because you expect a thank you in return. Otherwise, you've got an ulterior motive for doing it. You want someone to say, oh, thank you, you're so kind, which is the wrong reason. So I always try and see a positive. So if I just think, oh, they're obviously in a rush, so I'll let them in. And if it's raining, I just think, well, it's watering the plants. I don't need to do that when I get home tonight. So I'll try and see a plus, because it's easy to get tied up in the negative of something, but it doesn't really do any good. So the quicker you can move on from that situation. So yes, you've lost your wallet and you've lost all that money, but it's gone now. It's never coming back. So you can dwell on that for another 3 days about how you've lost all this money in your wallet, or you can just think, oh well, somebody that's found it probably needs it more than I do, and I'll just have to try and work harder to get some more money. Yeah, that's a positive thing, I think. The thing I need to work on still would be interrupting, and I do talk a lot. So I always say to people, when I come up for a breath, you just need to jump in, or else I'll just carry on talking. And I think I'm also probably guilty of, and a lot of people probably do this, when people, they seem like they're listening, but they're not, they're actually waiting for an opportunity to speak. So they're not really taking in what the other person's saying. You're just thinking, oh, I'm going to say this next. So you don't really listen. So I'm really bad with people's names. So I'm trying to learn to remember names. When somebody says, hi, my name's George, I will say, oh, hi, George, nice to meet you. And I'll say it back straight away, so that it's in my mind a little bit. And then I try and think of an association. So I think, oh, he looks like George off George and Mildred, or something like that. Or I try and think of a way to remember their name. I think it's, your name's really, it's who you are, isn't it? So when people don't bother to remember your name, it's almost like an insult that you're not important.
Absolutely. I understand your point. When you're saying that, I could picture myself as well. Sometimes I tend to talk a lot as well. Sometimes I can get distracted. And about names as well, I had situations as well that I was like, what's your name again? Like, I'm sorry. And you know what I mean? I felt so bad. And I have a way, sometimes I call Darling all the time, like people around the ladies, go like, oh, Darling, hi. You know what I mean? But sometimes, yeah, sometimes you can, get situations that you have no way to say the name, and you go like, oops. But I like the way you said, like repeating again, like a reminder to yourself. I like it. It's like work in progress. That's what's better. You are working on it.
You can say something to ask them about. So is George a family name? Is that something that how did your parents tell you how you came to be called George? So straight away you're speaking about their name, and it gives them something to talk about themselves then, doesn't it? So I always think it's really bad, especially if you've met somebody once and they remember your name and go, hi Neil, how are you? And you think, what's your name? And I go, oh, good, thanks. And a lot of the time, because I used to DJ for 25 years, so I did like weddings, and there were 200 people there, but there was only one DJ, so they all knew my name, and they expected me to know all their names. So then I'd see them in the supermarket, and they go, hi Neil, you all right? And I go, oh yeah, good. And I'm thinking, where do I know you from? And I go, so what are you up to these days? And they go, oh, I'm still working at such a place. And I think, nope, I've never worked there, so it's not from there that I know them. And then I'll say, when did I last see you now? I can't remember how long ago it was. And they'll go, at that wedding when you DJed. And I think, yes, that's where I know from.
It wasn't your fault, you know what I mean? You're like working on so many people around. Neil, let's play now. Neil and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question, okay? But before that, let's play the music one more time. So you have time to think on another question. Let's do it.
I've got one.
Okay, you can ask me a question now. And of course, if you want to carry on the same question, it's fine. You know what I mean? I'm the way, I'm supposed to be in the spot now, but I just spoiled it. So from you, it'll be fine. I had time to think about it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you that one. Anyway, I've got another one. My actual question is, if you could time travel back in time and change any decision that you've made, or a regret, or would you go back and change it?
Right. Good question. If I would go back in time, like at some points in my life, that's for some reason I wasn't proud of, or not proud of, or it was a negative thing or something that I did that I'm not proud. I wouldn't change it because it makes the person who I am today. I wouldn't change because I think everything counts at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I know we have things in your life, you go like, oh my God, I wish I could like just change this small time, you know what I mean, this little time just to change something, but it wouldn't make the person who I am today. So I believe that everything happens for a reason, and you know, we need to go through that. But if I would, I think if I could change something or go back, or not change, but at least to reflect more about it and try to understand more, I would say some good advice that close friend they gave to me at the time before, and I didn't take it for some reason. I was like, oh no, I thought I was right. I thought I was going to do the right thing, or I didn't want to think about it. So I would let's say, I wouldn't change it, but I would reflect more at the time. And if I could take the lesson at the time when the advice was given and I wasn't able to take, or I wasn't ready to take, you know what I mean? When I look back, I think I didn't listen to them, or for some reason, because I wasn't ready, or I didn't want to be ready, or, you know, when I look back, it just wasn't the moment. And I learned lessons. I learned, you know what I mean? I took some lessons out of it. So yeah, I think I wouldn't change anything, but I would reflect more. If I could go back, just reflect a little bit more at the time, I would do that, but not change it. I wouldn't change it. I think it's all part of the journey, and that's what makes life interesting, you know what I mean? Make us, you know, sometimes sometimes when you think about those mistakes, you go like, oh my God, I wish I could just change a little bit those mistakes. But when you think ahead, you go like, no, that's it. It meant to build the person we are, you know what I mean? So it's the way things are. That's what I believe. And just because you are from Manchester, I'm gonna answer the question that you meant to ask before. If I had a superpower, if I could have a superpower, I would have a superpower of touching close people mind, like people that have this very close mind, you know what I mean? They don't want to see the world a different way. I would just touch their heads, and they go like, oops, now I'm approachable now I understand things, you know what I mean? I would be around just touching people's head just to make them understand, or you don't need even to accept, but to respect. If you don't understand, you know what I mean, even if you don't agree, but if you respect, I think it's a good way to start, you know, the good way to be, just to accept things, or understand things, or try to understand and respect, you know what I mean? So that would be my superpower.
Superpower?
Yes. Neil, did you have a good time?
Yes, really good, yes.
Thanks so much. I can't wait for the season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, just for us to go through all those questions here in the magic box, okay? Keep in touch.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Just before you go, if you don't mind to share a positive message or positive quote, something that inspires you in life.
Well, I would probably say that to always try and think somebody else. You've got to try and sort of. It's not even a quote really. It's just not to judge people without knowing their story. It's very easy to make snap decisions about people and sort of. And I've learned quite a few lessons in the tavern where somebody might say a nasty comment, and your instinct is to go back and be like not as mean, but you know, like to try and pull them up in it. But now I try and sort of. I always say to the guys, and this is probably my quote: it's better to kill them with kindness. Because I think if you're kind and you say, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel like that," you know, it wouldn't do for us all to have the same opinion. Then they sort of think, "Oh, I feel a bit bad now for saying that." Like a lady said something nasty to me in the tavern because I was doing like tavern tips. It was all like how to organise things in your house to make life easy. And she said, "Oh, it's not going to be like that. Mrs. Hinch is in this group. I've just left that group because it was so kind of make you perfect." And I said, "No." So I was going to be all like, "Well, no, actually, if you don't like it." And I thought, no. So I stepped backwards and said to her, "I'm sorry you feel like that." I said, "It's not that it's going to be like that. I'm just doing it for my own mental health. It helps me have a focus every day to do these tips and stuff." And I said, because I've been struggling with depression, I said, so it just gives me a bit of a direction every morning, a reason to get up and blah, 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 and not just sit around the house. And she said, "Oh, I feel really bad now. I was having a bad day and I took it out on you. I'm so sorry." And she's completely turned around, whereas if I'd have argued with her, she'd have just argued back. So I wouldn't have won anything.
Absolutely, agree.
And I'd much rather turn somebody's opinion round and they stay in the group than have a big argument and then they leave because they don't feel like it's the group they want to be part of. And it's not always easy to turn the cheek. It's sometimes difficult, but I'm getting better at it. I'm trying to educate the team to be better at it because they always say, "Oh, you won't just handle it, okay, though. I wouldn't have done that and I wouldn't have thought to do that." And I said, "But she's happy. I've not had to have an argument. So who's won really?" I said, "We both won." And I try and liken it to, I said, if I was sat facing somebody on a table here and we didn't know like numbers and things, and somebody drew the letter 6 that was facing me, then said, what number is that? I would say, oh, that's a 6. But the other person would say, no, it's a 9. And we're both right from our own perspective, but sometimes you have to get up and walk on the table to their side of the table to see their point of view. But people aren't always prepared to. They want to stand their ground and stay where they are and have that fixed opinion. So sometimes you can both be right. There doesn't have to be someone wrong, does there?
Yeah, I agree, totally agree with you. Sometimes when somebody like this lady, she made this comment, if you would go in a very negative way, she would block herself, she wouldn't get the message. And the way you put it out, I think she's grateful for that. And I saw as well, there was Paulo Coelho, the writer, the Brazilian writer, he said, even the watch, even a stopped watch that's not working, even he's right twice a day, because even if the watch is not working, but the time is gonna pass there, so the watch is right. So they're always, you know what I mean? Even I stop right, it's right all the time. Neil, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being so nice and positive and sweet, you know what I mean? To share this lovely energy in the show. I loved it. It was amazing. I could be here another hour with you for sure. It was a pleasure. All the best, and keep in touch. When I come to Manchester next time, I'll give a shout. Okay?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first subscribe to our channel, and after that just go to our website www.williamandthemagicbox.com and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show, and I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.